Chapter 56. It was an accident. That's what you have to understand. I never meant for it to happen. I didn't hate you. I didn't love you, but I didn't hate you either. And I don't think you hated me. I think we were young and I was pregnant and we did what our parents expected us to do. And then we were stuck with each other, like a lot of people in a relationship. It takes a while for me to understand that. For all of our marriage, I was either drinking or recovering from drinking or thinking about drinking. Rarely enough to be drunk. Rarely so little to be sober, on and on for so many years that no one had ever seen me sober would ever know that I wasn't. I blamed you for cutting short my freedom, never seeing that what I had in London wasn't freedom at all. It was just as much a cage in my own way as marriage was. A never ending cycle of working, boozing, clubbing, looking for one night stand, clipping away in the early hours. I thought you trapped me. I never realized you were actually saving me. I fought it, and I went on fighting it for 25 years. On the night you died, I was halfway down a bottle of wine with three G&Ts under my belt. With an hour I didn't have to hide anything. I'd long since stopped pretending in front of you. Not that I've ever had admitted I had a problem. They say that's the first step. I hadn't taken it, not then, not till afterwards. Don't you think you've had enough? You've had a drink too, otherwise you never had have dared. We were in the kitchen. Rita curled up in her bed. The house was empty without Anna. And I knew I was drinking more because of it, not just because I could, but because it felt strange, unbalanced, the way it did when she was at university. Then I had a glimpse of how life would be when she moved out for good, and I didn't like it. Our marriage was built around our daughter. Who were we without her? The thought unsettled me. Actually, I think I'll have another one. I didn't even want it. I poured the rest of the wine into a glass, meant to be more empty than full. I held the empty bottle upside down by its neck, taunting you. Cheers. A dribble of red wine ran down my sleeve. You looked at me like you were seeing me for the first time, shook your head, like I'd asked you a question. I can't do this anymore, Caroline. I don't think you had planned it. It was just one of those things you'd say. But I asked what you meant, and it made you think. And I saw the moment that decision made itself in your mind. The decisive nod, the firmness in your lips. Yes, you were thinking, this is what I want. This is what's going to happen. I don't want to be married to you anymore. Like I said, my trigger is alcohol. I was drunk the first time I hit you, and I was drunk the last time. It's not an excuse, it's a reason. Did it make a difference to you that I was sorry afterwards? Did you know that I meant what I said, that each time I vowed to myself it would be the last? Sometimes apologies came late, sometimes they came right away. When the sudden release of my pent-up anger sobered me, as surely as I'd slept it off. When the police came, you lied with me. Nothing to see here. After the 999 calls, we made it. We said it was a mistake, a child missing with the phone. You stopped saying you forgave me. You stopped saying anything at all. Just pretended it hadn't happened. When I hurled Anna's clay paperweight at you and it ricocheted off you and broke against the wall, you picked up the pieces and glued them back together. And you let Anna think you'd broken it. She loves you, you said. I can't bear to think of knowing the truth. Think of her knowing the truth. That should have stopped me. It didn't. If I hadn't been drinking that last night, I might have got upset rather than angry. I might have even nodded, thought, you're right, this isn't working. I might have realized that neither of us was happy and maybe it was time to call it quits. I didn't do that. Before the words were even out of your mouth, my arm was moving hard, fast, unthinking. The bottle smashed against your head. I stood in the kitchen, the neck of the bottle still in my hand, and a carpet of green glass at my feet, and you lying on your side, a glossy pool of blood beneath your head from where you hit the granite worktop on the way to meet the tiles. Dead. Chapter 57. Murray pressed redial, but Anna's phone went straight to voicemail. I don't want the daughter knowing anything till we've got a positive ID. D.S. Kennedy had said when he called to say that Murray had been right. There was a body in the septic tank, and early indications suggest it was Tom Johnson. Murray had considered what to do. The detective sergeant was right, of course. It couldn't possibly be anyone other than Tom Johnson in the septic tank. But until the body had been recovered and identified, information should be on a strictly need-to-know basis. But surely Anna didn't need to know, and at the earliest opportunity it had been Anna who had insisted the police look again at her mother's suicide. Anna, who had been abandoned when her parents disappeared within months of each other. She deserved to know that there was a very high probability her father had been murdered and his body hidden in his own septic tank. As Murray scrolled through the phones for her number, He ignored the voice in his head that said he was calling as much for his own benefit as for hers. He carried on digging after she told you to stop, the voice said. Now you want to show her you were right to have done that. Only Anna had hung up on him again, and now her phone was switched off. She was in shock, of course. People did strange things at times of crisis, but even so, Murray had a horrible feeling he had done the wrong thing by calling her. Sarah pulled up on the driveway. Murray was feeling deflated, not just from Anna's reaction, but from suddenly having nothing to do on the investigation which he had been so heavily invested. He recognized the feelings from this time as a uniform response officer when the rush of picking up a juicy job was swiftly followed by the anticlimax of handing over to CID, never knowing what the suspect had said in the interview, sometimes not even knowing who had been charged or what sentence they'd received, seeing someone else get the pat on the back when you were the one who'd torn your trousers in a rugby tackle, who pulled out a child from a drink drive wreckage. You should go. Sarah was resting one hand high lightly on the gear stick, looking totally at home behind the wheel now. It had been a long time since Murray had been a passenger, and when his battery had died and he could no longer make calls, he had rested his head against the seat and watched his wife, confidence, grow by the mile. It occurred to him that his efforts to protect Sarah's comfort zone over the years might sometimes have been better spent helping her climb out of it. Murray got out of the car. James is here. It's his job now. It's your job too. Was it? Murray went inside and put on his slippers, stuck something on the TV. The police world wouldn't keep turning. James had the scene under control. Officers were out looking for Caroline Johnson. What could Murray do? And yet there were loose ends that were frustrating him. How had Caroline managed to get Tom, by no means a small man, the case files confirmed, into the septic tank? Had someone helped her? Who had sent an arrest card that suggested Caroline Johnson hadn't really jumped? Go! Sarah pressed the car keys into his hand. We were going to see in the new year together. There'll be another New Year's Eve. Go. Murray went. In Cleveland Avenue, police tapes surrounded Oakview. Music was playing from a neighbour's house, and partygoers, already half cut, stood with their drinks by the Gator Park and gawped at the comings and going. Murray ducked underneath the blue and white tape. Excuse me, can you tell me what's going on? The man called out to Murray from behind the railings that separated Oakview's drive from the one next door. He wore faded red chinos and a cream blazer with one open neck shirt. He was holding a glass of champagne. Are you? And you are? Robert Drake. I live next door. Well, here, actually. Ready to ring in the new year, I see. Murray motioned to the champagne. It's supposed to be Mark and Anna's party, but I just sort of, he searched for the term, inherited it. He laughed, pleased with himself, then stopped, suddenly serious. Where are they? Mark texted everyone. Said he and Anna had to go to London and the party was off, mixing the whole streets cordoned off. His eyes filled with alarm. Good God, he hasn't murdered her, has he? Not that I'm aware of now, if you'll excuse me. Murray walked away. So that was Robert Drake. Murray should have thanked him, really. If it hadn't been for his more money than sense extension plans, Tom Johnson's body might never have been discovered. How must Caroline have felt when she realized the building works would mean digging up the septic tank, assuming she killed Tom the day of his supposed suicide and disposed of him straight away? Tom would have been in that tank for a month before Drake announced his plans. Her own written objection had been lengthy, and judging by the number of identical complaints from elsewhere in the town, although not from Cleveland Avenue residents themselves, Murray had noted Caroline had provided cut-paste letters for serial planning objectives who would always be relied on to stick an oar or two. By the time Drake had finessed his application and reapplied, Caroline had already disappeared, fooling her family, the police, and the coroner into believing she had committed suicide. As she kept tabs on the planning side, just in case, the objection made in the name of Angela Grange had been lodged with no address of Sycamore, Cleveland Avenue. No one had noticed, no one had checked. Why would they? So according to Robert Drake, both Anna and Mark were in London. Neither car was on the driveway, so the couple must have travelled separately. Murray tried to remember whether Anna had told him her plans. No, only that her friend had been driving. It was good that she had people with her. Murray thought, nothing like the discovery of a body to put a dampener on your New Year's Eve plans. In the centre of the garden where the patio met the grass was a white tent. D.S. James Kennedy stood by the entrance, through which the ghostly figures of two crime scene investigators could be seen. It's him, James said, as Murray joined him. signet ring matches the description on the original missing persons report. Rookie error, Murray said wildly. The body's well preserved. The tank's drained underground, and with the entrance sealed, it was a pretty good makeshift morgue. And he's got a hefty head wound, hit over the head, perhaps a domestic gone wrong. There were several jobs logged against the address over the years, Murray said. Drop calls on the line and a fear for welfare from the neighbour, Robert Drake, after he heard shouting coming from the address. Did we attend? Murray nodded. Both Johnsons denied any domestic and had taken place, but Colonel Johnson was described as being emotional by the attending officer. You think this could have been self-defence? James said. Inside the crime scene tent, the manhole cover had been bagged and tagged, and the narrow neck of the tank could just be seen. Tom Johnson's body had already been removed from the tank by the special search unit and transported to the mortuary ready for the post-mortem that would hopefully tell them exactly how he died. Could be, or could be she's the violent one, Murray said. He never pays to assume. Taking things at face value was precisely how Carolyn Johnson had got away with the crimes in the first place. Who's looking for her? He wondered if she heads back towards Devonshire, not knowing that Shifty had already sold her out. Who isn't? Her photo's been circulated, and there's an all ports warning out for Caroline Johnson and Angela Grange, although for all we know she's been using other names too. We've got CCTV of a woman matching her description arriving at Eastbourne train station late on the 21st, and a taxi driver thinks he might have dropped her off at the Hope Hotel that night, but can't be certain. What have they said at the Hope? What do you think they said? Get to fuck. Staff at the Hope were fiercely protective of the residents. Great when a victim was housed there, less helpful when there was a suspect in their midst. Pretty much. James rubbed the side of his nose. Derbyshire have lifted your man Shifty, but last I heard he's gone on. No comment throughout. No surprise there, thought Murray, particularly given the snippets of intelligence with which landlady Kaz had provided him when he and Sarah had checked out of the wagon horses. It's not only flats he hooks up people with, you know. Murray had waited. Weed, coke, crack. She's tipped off the items in her fingers as though she was checking off groceries. Guns, too. Just be careful, Duck. That's all I'm saying. The super authorised a road check on all routes out of the Eastbourne, James said, but no joy so far. Mark Hemmings has followed his partner to London. He's not answering his phone, so presumably he's still driving. As soon as I have an address, I'll get a Met unit around there to brief them. Find out if Caroline's been in touch, get hold of a list of people she might have made contact with. Murray wasn't listening, not to James. At any rate, he was listening instead to the replays in his head of the conversation he had with Anna Johnson, Mark Hemming, Diane Brett Taylor. He was responding to the misgivings in the pit of his stomach, to the prickle on the back of his neck. As far as she knew, Carolyn Johnson arrived at Eastbourne on the 21st December, the anniversary of her supposed death, and the day Anna Johnson had gone to the police with claims that her mother had been murdered. She had been adamant that Murray reopened the case, yet less than a week later she had screamed at him to drop her. Murray had attributed the change of heart to the swinging emotion of her grieving daughter, but he now felt horribly dangerously clear that he'd been wrong. Finally, he pinpointed what had struck him as odd, when he had visited Anna at home to ask about her mobile phone. She had been home alone. She told him that there was 2 mugs of tea on the kitchen table. I'm in the car. A friend's driving, Anna had said earlier. That hesitation. Why hadn't he picked up on it earlier? He had been so intent on being the one to tell Anna her father's body had found, so keen to prove that he was still a detective at heart. We need that part in your address, Mara said, and fast.